Hello everyone, we are Team 6 and our presentation is about HR analysis for workspace stability and performance. Now, I will explain how data can improve retention, engagement, and department performance. Okay, before we start, I want to introduce our teammates. This is our team Anjan, myself, Ajit, Michael, Niyati, and Zainab. Each of us worked on different parts of HR analysis and recommendations. Okay, moving to this slide, we'll have a look of our table of contents. Today, we will cover our business questions, KPI frameworks, dashboard insights, turnover engagement, salary gaps, performance gaps, and finally our recommendations. Let's have a look. Now, moving to this slide, what we set out to answer. Our main goal was to understand where the company is facing workforce problems. We looked at 5 questions, including which department have high turnover, how engagement affects absence, and what management can do to improve retention and performance.
So this slide zooms into the 5 KPIs and explains what each one is actually measuring from a strategic standpoint. There are 311 employees and this gives us a workforce scale that is the baseline headcount that we are working with. The turnover rate of 0.33 is our retention risk indicator at 33%, and this is well above the industry benchmark of around 15%, signaling an urgent retention problem. The engagement score of 4.06 out of a possible maximum measures workforce morale and motivation, and while it sits in the mid range, when you combine it with the absenteeism and turnover data, it tells us that engagement is fragile in key departments. The average salary of £69,000 measures compensation level, but as we saw on the previous slide, this average masks a very wide internal disparity. And finally, 10.24 average absences per employee is our attendance health indicator, and anything above 8 is typically considered a concern in the HMAR benchmarking. So, taken together, these 5 KPIs don't just describe the workforce, they actually diagnose it. The high turnover, the low engagement, high absences, and salary inequality all point to the same underlying issue, and that is the employee dissatisfaction concentrated in the production and sales department, and that is exactly what our recommendation addresses. Let us now walk through our business intelligence dashboard, which gives us a complete picture of workforce health across the organization. Starting with our 5 headline KPIs at the top, we have 311 employees in total, an average salary of £69,000, an employee turnover rate of 0.33, an average engagement score of 4.06, and an average absence rate of 10.24 days. Together, these 5 metrics give us an immediate snapshot of workforce scale, cost, retention risk, and employee well being all in one view. Moving to the charts, the first chart on the top right tells us that production has the highest termination rate at 0.40, followed closely by software engineering at 0.36. This is a significant red flag, meaning that nearly 4 in 10 employees in production are leaving, and this directly impacts operational continuity. The scatter plot in the middle reveals a clear pattern, and that is the departments with lower engagement scores tend to have higher absenteeism. Production again sits at the outlier in the top right with both the highest absence count and the lowest engagement, confirming that the disengagement is driving attendance issues and not the other way around. Finally, the salary chart at the bottom shows a stark disparity, and that is executive office earns an average of £250,000 compared to just £60,000 in production, and that is the very department with the highest turnover. This compensation gap is likely a root cause of the retention problem that we are seeing.
We're moving towards where turnover hits hardest, and one of our strongest findings was turnover is not evenly distributed. Production has the highest at 0.4, software engineering following at 0.36, and lastly, sales is significantly lower at 0.16. This shows turnover is driven more by departmental conditions, not just overall company dissatisfaction. Slide 8 is talking about engagement signals and productivity risk. We found a clear relationship, which was lower engagement leads to higher absenteeism. Production has the highest absence level, and IT and sales also show concerning patterns. This means engagement is not just a soft metric. It's actually an early warning signal for productivity and retention risk. This slide talks about pay gaps across departments. We also analyze salary distribution. Productivity has the lowest salary, around £60,000, and highest turnover. Software engineering has pay of £95,000 and still higher turnover. And IT sits in the middle, and this tells us something so important, which is that pay alone does not solve retention issues, but misalignment between pay and workload may increase the risk. So here we talk about performance gaps by department. Next, we looked at performance distribution, and production shows both high turnover and mixed performance. Sales has a high percentage on performance improved plans. Software engineering has strong performers but struggles to retain them. This suggests capability issues and retention problems are connected, especially in high pressure environments. Okay, so what leadership should do next? Based on our findings, we propose 2 levels of actions. The first one is the tactical and the second one is the strategic. So we're going into the tactical first, which is to track engagement, absences, and turnover monthly, monitor teams with higher PIP rates, conduct stay interviews in high-risk departments, set department-specific HR targets, and moving to the strategic, we focus on retention efforts on production and software engineering, review compensation structures, and move from a company-wide approach to department-specific strategy. So the key takeaways and next steps are: number 1, workforce is concentrated, not widespread. Production is the most critical area. Engagement is a predictive indicator of performance risk. And lastly, pay alone isn't enough, and structure and workload matter also. So the limitations we have are small sample sizes in some departments, and no casual data, and feature improvements that were recommended were add tenure, promotions and exit rooms, include manager level insights, and lastly, track training and development data.